Very good morning to everyone. Esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Dhruva Kumar Gautam, Vice Chancellor, Midwest University, Sukhet, Nepal. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Birla Global University, Professor Kulbhushan Baluni. Distinguished Professor S.P. Raj, Center Director Earl V., Snyder Innovation Management Center, Syracuse University, USA. Esteemed guest of honor, Sri Rajat Vardhan, founder and CEO of ScarNext Scientific Technologies Private Limited. Distinguished Professor Anand Kumar Jaiswal in the area of marketing, IIM Ahmedabad. Respected Dean, Birla School of Management, Professor Parmeshwar Nayak. Dr. Suvendu Pratihari, Conference Chair. respected conference conveyors, faculty members, researchers, scholars, and my dear friends. It is with immense pleasure that we welcome you all into the International Conference of Grassroots and Frugal Innovation in Emerging Economics, organized by Birla Global University, powered by Beehive in collaboration with Syracuse University and Midwest University. To begin this momentous occasion, let us all rise for the Biju Kulgeet as we invoke the spirit of wisdom and enlightenment. Now I request everyone to please rise.
तनी अपनी देखती आकाश है
सुबह न्यारी शाम अपनी श्रेष्ठ जगमग धार है
विरासत तनी अपनी देखती आकाश है उत्कल चमन उन्मुक्त सा एक स्वर एक गान है विरासत तनी अपनी देखती आकाश है उत्कल चमन उन्मुक्त सा रोशन यहाँ परवाज़ है आत्मनिर्भर हो रहा उन्नत यहाँ रफ्तार है उत्कल चमन उन्मुक्त सा विश्व को सत्कार है विरासत तनी अपनी देखती आकाश है उत्कल चमन उन्मुक्त सा
May I kindly request our esteemed chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, esteemed guest of honor, Professor Jaiswal and Dr. Suvendu Pratihari to please come to the dais and be seated. Yes, sir. Yes, please. Now, may I request our student volunteers to kindly welcome and present the saplings to our esteemed dignitaries. This conference aims to bring together academicians, researchers, innovators, and industry experts to discuss how grassroots and frugal innovations can drive sustainable development and economic growth in emerging economics. To mark this beginning of this auspicious gathering, we invite our esteemed dignitaries for the lamp lighting ceremony, symbolizing the victory of knowledge over ignorance. Sir, please. Thank you, sir. Innovation does not always need abundance. It thrives in scarcity, where creativity meets necessity, where sources are limited. Imagination becomes the most powerful tool for innovation. Grassroots innovation is not just about doing more with less. It's about rethinking what truly means. To emphasize the local wisdom and everyday struggle, giving rise to frugal innovation, we bring to you our conference, Grassroots and Frugal Innovation in Emerging Economics. It emphasizes the role of innovative thinking in empowering communities and driving inclusive growth in emerging economies. Moving ahead, I would now request Dr. Suvendu Pratihari to come forward and give the welcome address and introduce the theme. Thank you. Sir, please.
Chief guest, Professor Dhruv Kumar Gautam sir, Vice Chancellor of Midwest University, Nepal. Distinguished keynote speaker Professor Anand Jaiswal sir from IIM Ahmedabad, and esteemed Vice Chancellor sir, Professor Kulbhushan Baloni, and in absentia, Professor S.P. Raj, who is our collaborator, Syracuse University Director of Data Center of Innovation. In fact, due to some time factor, he could not join. And guess Rajat Vardhan, and respected academic leaders, policymakers, innovators, entrepreneurs, grassroots change makers, colleagues, dear students, and distinguished delegates from across the world who have joined online. Namaskar to all of you. It's a privilege to welcome you all to the International Conference on Grassroots and Frugal Innovation in Emerging Economies, organized by Birla Global University in collaboration with the Earl V. Snyder Innovation Management Center, Syracuse University, USA, and Midwest University, Nepal. In India, knowledge has historically been understood as emerging not only from formal institutions but also from communities, lived experiences, and collective wisdom shaped across generations, as you know all. This simulation understanding reminds us that development must be inclusive and innovation must ultimately contribute to the societal well-being. Today, the global innovation discourse is undergoing significant transformation. Much of the last century, innovation has been associated with the technological sophistication, capital concentration, and centralized research ecosystem. However, the lived realities of emerging economies compel us to reconsider these assumptions. Therefore, the fundamental challenge before us is not merely how to innovate, but how to democratize innovation system. As reflected in the theme of the conference, grassroots innovation represents the adaptive intelligence of communities responding to contextual challenges. It is visible in farmers adapting to climate variability, artisans repurposing traditional knowledge for contemporary markets, urban entrepreneurs strengthening the local economic networks, and youth leveraging technology for social impact. Here in Odisha, as we belong to Odisha, such processes are evident across diverse socio-economic context, from sustainable agricultural practices in tribal regions to community-based enterprises utilizing local resources such as millets, sabai grass. In fact, we have just from sabai grass unit one of the part, and forest products. Grassroots innovation continues to save pathways of resilience and livelihood enhancement. On the other hand, frugal innovation complements this trajectory by introducing a philosophy of resource-conscious design. It challenges the assumption that technological progress must necessarily be resource-intensive. Instead, it demonstrates that efficiency, accessibility, and sustainability can be integrated into innovation pathways. In an era marked by climate uncertainty, inequalities, and systematic development challenges, frugal innovation offers not only an operational framework but also a normative orientation for equitable growth. This conference is therefore conceived as both an intellectual and institutional platform. One Tech seeks to bridge academic inquiry, policy engagement, entrepreneurial practices, and community knowledge system. Over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow and tomorrow, engage in scope presentations, panel discussion, innovation showcases, and collective dialogue. The true measure of this conference, however, will lie in our ability to advance more inclusive and resilient innovation ecosystem. Birla University, through its entrepreneurial incubation initiative, aspires to contribute meaningfully to this transformation by fostering innovation that is locally grounded yet globally relevant. Believe that universities and knowledge institutions must increasingly function as catalysts of socio-economic change. This conference has been set through meaningful institutional partnerships. We are grateful to the Wadhwani Foundation for its knowledge leadership in entrepreneurial capacity building, to CYUSD for grassroots engagements, USD's Center for Youth and Social Development, in the grassroots engagement dimensions, Software Technology Park of India, STPI, and Startup Odisha for enabling the convergence of technology industry and innovation ecosystem. Such collaborators are essential for translating ideas into scalable development impact. As we commence this collective journey, allow me to place before this distinguished gathering two reflective considerations. First, how can innovation ecosystems be designed to recognize community knowledge as a foundational component of development strategy? Second, how can emerging technological trajectories be aligned with ecological sustainability and social equity? These are not merely conceptual prompts, but invitations for deeper intellectual engagement in collective action. Grassroots and frugal innovation in many ways represent evolving architecture of development in economies. They challenge us to move beyond standardized model and instead co-create pathways that are contextually relevant and globally. With sincere appreciation to our partners, speakers, sponsors, organizing colleagues, and dedicated student volunteers. I once again welcome you all to this international conference on grassroots and frugal innovation in emerging economies. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir. We are honored to have with us Professor S.P. Raj, Chair of Marketing Department and Distinguished Professor of Marketing at the Whiteman School of Management, Syracuse University, USA. He's also served as the Director of MS in Marketing Program and Earl V. Sander Innovation and Management Center. Professor Raj has previously been a tenured faculty member at Cornell University and a visiting faculty at Northwestern University. His research has been published in leading journals such as the Journal of Marketing, Journal of Marketing Research, and Journal of Consumer Research. With his extensive academic contribution and global teaching experience, he has inspired students and professionals across the world through his expertise in marketing strategy and innovation. We are pleased to have SP Raj, but due to some timing issue, he is unable to join us and he will be joining us on later half. We are pleased to have with us Sri Rajat Vardhan, founder of and CEO of Scarnet Scientific Technologies Private Limited, a pioneering deep tech company focused on developing climate smart solutions for Indian agriculture. With over 17 years of experience in rural marketing and agri-tech, he has worked extensively to address the challenges faced by Indian farmers by leveraging innovative technologies. His visionary leadership, ScarNext has received several recognition for its work in improving soil health, crop productivity, and farmer profitability. His dedication for building affordable and scalable solution contribute significantly to sustainability and resilience of Indian agriculture. May I now request Sri Rajat Vardhan to kindly address the audience. Sir, please.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Baloni, Professor S.P. Raj, who would be joining us in some time, Professor Jaiswal, Professor Dhruv Kumar Gautam, all the distinguished people sitting in this hall, faculty members, and the students. I'm truly honored to be here today in this holy land of Odisha. I think this is such a great opportunity for all of us to witness a huge change which will be considered as one tectonic moment which brought shift in the mindset of how frugal innovation can play a big role. I believe that especially the students sitting over here, it's my duty to share with you some of my lessons which I have been able to get in last almost 20 years of my life from a student to becoming an entrepreneur. I think the first thing which I would like to begin with is self-actualization, right? And I believe that earlier the self-actualization hits, you become very closer to the reality of the very purpose why you're here. And this happened to me when I passed out. I got a great job in a global multinational, and I wanted to really contribute. But for me, the meaning of contribution was just to get great sales numbers. And those sales numbers made me one of the youngest to be a master salesman in that organization. And I went to Hawaii. What happened is when I came back, I realized all those conversations which I have had with my colleagues from almost 152 countries. I started to lose my excitement to have a use with it. And I realized that if I do not contribute well towards doing something for my farmers, doing something to innovate, doing something to increase their incomes, it would not be a right justice to my education and to what I have been able to earn by the values which I have imbibed from my parents. And that actually hit very, very hard. Now, you might be experiencing the same when you will actually shape up your career, right? And that is where I realized that power of collaboration is going to play a huge, huge role. But before we uh, before we really need to have the power of collaboration, are we able to identify the larger cause for which we would like to dedicate our life for? And I realized that beyond sales, it is the grassroots problem for which we should dedicate our life for. From my educational days in Pannagar, I realized that soil is a big issue to be worked upon. And then in my vast conversations with farming community, I further realized that beyond everything which has been done, life actually begins and ends with soil. And when we all will be gone, we actually get buried into the soil in some form or another. Just imagine what will happen if the soil itself dies. And that itself was such a propellant for me to start working towards my goal. And that is where I realized that in order to do something great, you need to have right collaborations in place. And that is where IIT Kanpur played a huge role in building us what we are today. So even if we find ourselves to be immensely talented, believe me, you can always learn more from other people. And that is where I realized to while I was building this up. So with them, we partnered, we started the work to have a partnership for long years. And we developed a smart soil testing technology to begin with. And I'm glad to report that today it stands to be one of the most affordable soil testing innovation ever built. And that innovation, I'm very proud to report again that the power of satisfaction which you get. We have been able to scale it to 7 countries. We have our presence in 24 states of the country. We work with the biggest companies in agriculture. We work with the biggest research institutions. We work with 2 state governments as on date. And the good part is that this has been able to impact farmer life in such a manner that ICR NIAP, which is a nationally recognized institution, on the call of Honorable Prime Minister, they have selected our technology to be validated by a third party. And what they have come out with will actually excite you. It told that a frugal innovation like ours has been able to increase farmers' income by up to 10,000 rupees per acre simply by investing 400 to 500 rupees per year. So now, why this is very important? Now, as India wants to become a $30 trillion economy, want to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047, it becomes very pertinent here to increase farmers' income. So as on date, the average income of a farming household is just roughly about 1,20,000 rupees. Now imagine if such frugal innovations, just 10 innovations, if they contribute and add up to 10,000 rupees each, so it can actually double up the farming household incomes. And that is what something which we should really think about. So whenever we innovate, we need to think the larger cause. We really need to work upon the power of collaboration. We need to take people together. We need to take researchers, we need to take collaborators, we need to take scientists with us, we need to take help of faculty members. Believe me, it makes your journey very fulfilling. And I would like to say that if some students are willing to work and willing to contribute, whether in form of internship or you want to join our team in some manner. So if you have got fire within you, we are very happy to take the relationship forward. And on that note, I would like to just mention that whenever we work, we have to just keep in mind the power of Vasudev Kutumbakam, wherein our responsibility is not just limited to few square meter area around us. Our responsibility is to think about 600 million smallholder farmers who are across the globe, those people who really need us. So I think that true regard to our education we'll be able to give only when we contribute back immensely. With this, I would like to just halt my speech. I wish the students a great career, and we look forward to bring out some great frugal innovations from this institution in the time and years to come. Jai Hind, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, and Jai Odisha. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring address and sharing your valuable insights with us. We are honored to have with us Professor Anand Kumar Jaiswal, Professor of Marketing at the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, one of India's most prestigious management institutions. His research focuses on areas such as consumer satisfaction, service management, e-commerce, and many more, where his work has gained recognition in India and internationally. Professor Jaiswal has also worked closely with leading organizations such as PepsiCo, HDFC Life, L&T, and Indian Oil Corporation, contributing through the executive training and consulting assignments. His research excellence has been recognized with several prestigious awards, including the Distinguished Young Professor Award at IIM Ahmedabad. May I now invite Professor Anand Kumar Jaiswal to deliver the keynote address. Sir, please.
So, dear Professor Baluni, Professor Gautam, Mr. Rajat Vardhan, Professor Pritihari, faculty members of this institution and other institution as well as the students, I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of this event. This conference is on grassroots innovation and frugal innovation. Mr. Rajat talked about grassroots innovation or maybe innovations which are more relevant for farmers. I would focus of my talk is on other types of innovation. Other innovation may not necessarily be directly connected to agriculture or farmers, but they're connected to the society in general. So this is the talk. This is the topic of my talk. I'm going to talk about breakthrough frugal innovation, and then I'm also going to discuss how these innovations can be taken to the world, how they can transform the global markets. So essentially, we are innovating locally and eventually winning markets globally. That's the theme of my talk. Yeah. So we all know innovation. What is innovation? Because before talking about grassroots innovation or frugal innovation, let us understand innovation, especially for the students. So innovation is all about generating and adopting any new idea. It can be a product, it can be a service, it can be a process, or sometimes it can be a business model, which is basically a group of activities or system of activities. So when you innovate, means you generate and you are not generating only, but you are adopting. Now, innovations are said to be extremely important because in society we can grow, we can develop only when we innovate. But from the corporate's point of view, from the private organization's point of view, innovations are required if you wish to survive in a fiercely competitive world. So it gives you advantage, competitive advantage over other companies. It gives you ability to create value for customers. So we off late, historically we have seen the developed world, Western countries, North America or Europe primarily contributing to innovation. They're developing new technologies, new products, and eventually, they're being trickle down or they're being sent to the developing world. But lately, or in the last few years, we have seen emerging markets, developing countries, India, for example, and also other countries like China, for example, becoming hub for innovation. And why that this is happening? Because of two reasons. Uh, we can see all multinational big companies setting up their R&D centers in these countries. So think about Google, Microsoft, Meta, or all big high-tech companies. Most of them may be having their R&D centers or global capability centers operating in India or sometimes in China. So that's one factor which contributed to growth of innovation in emerging market. Apart from that, we can also see many Indian companies, be it Tata's or many others, they started innovating initially locally, means for Indian consumers or for other developing market consumers. But off late, they now are thinking about the Western market, developed world market. So they're graduating to the next stage, and where they are now challenging big companies in their home turf or in the Western market. So these two factors contributed to emerging market innovation or frugal innovation in emerging market. So let me talk about, so when we look at emerging market innovation or frugal innovations, and I'm not talking about frugal innovation in general because frugal innovations are of all different types, but my focus is more on breakthrough, high-tech, technologically complex frugal innovation. So what is the model of companies operating in emerging market versus companies operating in Western world? So let me give you an example, and I think students can probably relate well. If you think about, most recent launch of Apple, iPhone 17, and if you see when iPhone 17 was launched, Apple launched four different variants, four different versions you can see. So you have iPhone 17 Pro Max on one side, and then you have iPhone 17. So if you look at, in all these, if you carefully compare, of course, the price differential is there, starting from, real high price version to a base price version product. And more importantly, if you see, the functionality varies. So the most pricey version has a lot of functionality and the base version has minimum functionality. So usually companies offer multiple products when they launch these products in the Western world, in the Western market. Prices here are in the US dollar, you can see. And that's not confined to only smartphone manufacturer company. Any product, any durable consumer product at times, automobile or high-tech products, you will find more or less very similar patterns. So think about another product like automobile, you have a Toyota Lexus. So you will see, there are multiple versions available in the market, and then you will see the price varies and accordingly functionalities also varies. Now, if you look at, for example, if I generalize this, whenever I'm launching any new product in my home market, like Western market, North America or the European market, usually I have four, sometimes three, sometimes more commonly four versions. So one version, I will give 100% performance to consumer and I will charge 100% price, 100%, 100% on both sides. Then I have another version where I will make it little more affordable instead of 100%, 90% price, but accordingly I will reduce the functionality from 100 to 90%. I have third version, which again where I will reduce the price to 80% and proportionately I will reduce the functionality or performance to 80%. And usually I have a base version, which is the least price product for my home market consumers, where I have 70% functionality and then I'm charging 70% price. So if you see what is the model, what is the pattern, here essentially, my product development model or my innovation model is, I'm assuming that there's a linear relationship between the performance and the price. So, if I'm giving you 100% functionality, performance, quality, whatever word you would like to use, I will charge you proportionately. And if you want lower price product from me, then I will reduce the price proportionately. So therefore the assumption is that it's a linear straight line relationship. Now, this is how companies develop product. This is how they launch new technologies, and this is how they price them. But this is not the model emerging market companies are following. They are challenging this, and they're coming up with a new paradigm for innovation, and that is known as frugal innovation. So we are talking about frugal innovation. Let us understand what is frugal innovation, therefore. So if you look at, for example, so if I'm multinational, Western multinational, I said that eventually, gradually, or after a while, sometimes I will launch some of these high-tech products to developing country consumer like Indians and Chinese. And when I do this, at times I know that they can't pay the market price or the price I am charging to Western consumers. So they would say, okay, let me reduce the price. But then because my assumption is that there's a linear relationship, I would proportionately reduce the functionality also. So I'm reducing the price to 50% for typically for emerging market consumer, and proportionately I will also reduce the functionality. So I have a different product for Indian and Chinese usually, or other developing countries consumer. Now that actually in most cases doesn't work, because Indian and Chinese consumer, though they can't pay you the Western market prices, but the moment you reduce features, or when the moment you de-feature the product is no more the same product, and they say that you are giving me something different, or this is not the same one which is given to the European and American. So therefore, invariably, they have far less acceptance for those products. And secondly, that 50%, you have marginally reduced the price. 50% is still too high for American and normal and average and average Indian or Chinese consumer. So therefore, I need to drastically or dramatically reduce the price. At the same time, I cannot afford to reduce the functionality. So what is the approach I would adopt? So I would adopt an approach which is known as a frugal innovation. So if you look at here, what frugal innovation says that I can't reduce the functionality or a performance or quality. I need to offer 100% performance, but at a 20%, 15 to 20% of the prevailing price. So I want a dramatic reduction in the price without compromising on the functionality or the performance. That's the frugal innovation, isn't that? So I'm changing mindset. I'm saying that it's no more a linear relationship, no more a straight line relationship. So this is frugal innovation. Of course, theoretically we say 100%, but we are working with a range. At least, what you do in the European market, that 70 to 100% is a typical range under which we can work and offer a product. So if you look at, this is the range, I can offer a product with 70 to 100% performance, but the price needs to be drastically reduced. It should be 15 or 20% of the original price. So that's the kind of, innovation we are talking about. So these are the frugal innovation. Now, how we develop them, I would talk about that briefly. So let us look at the innovation model. What in MNCs did, big companies did, when they tried tapping the emerging markets, they said, let us defeature, as I was saying, remove the functionality. And what is defeaturing? What is defeaturing? Let me give an example. When usually American or European companies launch a product for Chinese or Indian consumer, they strip down the product. How exactly? Say, for example, they will replace metal with plastic. They will, if you have a fully automatic machine or a product, you will make it semi-automatic. Sometimes you add it, manual, for example. Sometimes you have, for example, a big screen, you will make it a smaller screen. If you're giving LED screen to Americans, you will give a maybe LCD screen to Indians. If you're giving colored screen, you will give a black and white screen. This is how you reduce the functionality. Now, that approach, as I said, doesn't work most of the time. I discussed why it doesn't work. So the frugal innovation or emerging market innovation approach says that instead of defeaturing, move to a clean slate approach. Now, what is clean slate approach? Clean slate approach is a zero-based innovation. So this approach says that forget the existing product, forget the existing solutions. That unlearning we call. Look at what consumer actually needs. Starting assumption is look at consumer needs. And from scratch, think about the developing new solutions. So that's the idea of clean slate or a zero-based innovation. I will give you some examples, and that actually invariably unleashes the creativity or entirely new approach. And once you do that, and through that you develop frugal innovation. Now, frugal innovation is not the end game, because what we are seeing that eventually, when you innovate in India, invariably you have consumers in other developing countries, in Latin America, in Africa, other part of Asia. So they have very similar needs. They have very similar budgetary constraint. So I can very well transfer or take these innovation to other part of the developing world. So this we call, horizontal flow of innovation from one emerging market to another emerging market, from one developing country to another developing countries. But that's the intermediate stage. Eventually, what we are seeing lately or off lately, that these innovations eventually, or some of them, if not some of these innovations, are now finding their way to the developed world. Now they're disrupting markets in the Europe and the US. So these innovations, frugal innovations, which were originally developed keeping in mind the specific budgetary constraints and needs of Chinese or Indian consumer, now they're being accepted, or now they're being welcomed in the developed world. So this is a reverse innovation. Reverse innovation, because now we are seeing a reversal of flow of innovation. The traditional model was developed to developing. Now what we are seeing is developing to the developed world. So I will give you some examples of that. This is part of my research. I'm not going to discuss all the factors contributing to innovation in each stage. But let me just briefly talk about clean slate. I said that you need a different organizational structure if you wish to develop them. You need to empower the local units. We call in India for India. Means if you wish to serve Indian consumer, then they need to be developed in India, because then the product development team or R&D team can do whatever is required. Unlearning process I already talked about. So these are different stages of innovation and the drivers at each stage. Now, let us look at all these different types of innovation I talked about. So there are two dimensions: where exactly you're doing design and development, and who's your target market, or who exactly you're looking at as a consumer. So local and frugal innovation, when we said I'm developing these innovation in India and China for Indian and Chinese, developing market consumer and developing market is the site for innovation. So those are local and frugal innovation. But this is a newer phenomena, you can say. Traditional phenomena was what we talked about, that the developed countries, firms, or American and European companies doing the innovation, and gradually they're sending these innovation to developing countries. So we call trickle down. So, often this used to be the pattern, say in 80s, 90s, or even earlier, that a technology is being introduced in the US, and after a while, slowly, gradually, it will find a way to Indian and Chinese market. So that's a trickle down traditional model where you defeature and then scale down. Now, the third one, when I said that when you're innovating in India, but you are selling these products to the developed world, then that's a reverse innovation. That's a new phenomena. So let me give you some examples of that, how this happens, and how we are seeing examples of that. So this is just to give you an example. And again, I and my co-authors did extensive research both on multinationals doing innovation in India. So primarily we studied GE very extensively, GE Healthcare particularly, and also several Indian companies to understand their innovation model. So looking at GE an example, so look at this complex premium ECG machine. Usually you will find in the Western market. In India, in high-end hospital like Apollo or maybe AIMS, you will find these machines. Mac 5500 ECG machine, very complex. The base price may be at least 5 lakh, 6 lakhs rupees in India. Now, this machine is complex. It requires cardiologist. It requires a technician. It requires air conditioning environment, for example. Now, this is not the product you can take to deep rural areas, because there are no cardiologists there. They're just GPs, for example. There are no trained technician. There may not be any electricity or regular electricity. Forget the air conditioning. So eventually GE developed a product which was Mac 400. That's a small portable machine, battery operated. It's a one touch machine, one touch, one button. means just press one button and then ECG is generated, and then you can interpret the disease. You don't need a cardiologist, the GPs can interpret that. You can see. So this is the innovation for Indian and Chinese consumer, innovation which can be taken to the deep rural areas also. Portability, ease of use, battery operated, all the features, very less need of service, remote serviceability, for example, no need of supplies. In fact, they use very interesting approach. So in the printer used in this machine actually is not the printer originally used, a printer which is used in the bus vending machines. So in vending machines, ticket vending machine, for example, you will find if you're traveling in roadways buses, the bus conductor keeps a small, ticket vending machine. So that is the printer they're using in this machine. That's extremely affordable and robust. It's a battery operated machine, so you're using a battery technology which is being used in smartphone. So smartphones, the battery technology is evolved and it has come down to real low price point. So this is the approach. We call this off the shelf product uses. So many of these components use from very different domain, very different product categories. So this is the example. Now this they develop for Indian and Chinese consumers, but let us see if you go back to the previous one. Can you just go to the previous one? Now what they did, they upgraded this product from Mac 400 to Mac 100, added a new functionality like USB connectivity, wireless connectivity, and they launched this product in the European market. Now, this product was a real big hit in European and eventually American market, because there they realized that GPs, they never thought of giving, ECG machines to GPs, because their access of ECG machine is only to cardiologists. So now this portability, ease of functionality, all those features are needed even in the developed market. So this is the example of reverse innovation. Now, if you look at, let me briefly give you example. So when we talked about frugal innovation, we use this word clean slate or zero-based innovation. So this fundamentally says that forget the existing product, existing solution, look at consumer need, and then start from scratch. So I will give you two examples of clean slate-based approach or zero-based approach. So this is the interesting innovation. This is a baby warmer. So, in India, infant mortality rate is very high. In case you have visited an ICUs, you will find premature babies are kept in a device or in equipment, which is like a tray-like equipment you would see. So there's a baby warmer. Infants are kept there till they recover fully. So now that's a pretty complex equipment, quite expensive, at least for Indians, at least for consumers who live in small towns. Now you can rework that product and then reduce the cost. But the clean slate approach says that forget the existing product, start from the scratch. So this is a very interesting innovation developed, and this is by a company known as Embrace. They said that all you need is a baby warming, keeping babies at certain predetermined temperature. And why you need that existing product? Think about out of the box solution. So they developed this blanket for baby warming purpose. And this is, of course, technologically quite sophisticated product, because it has a phase changing material inside it. So once you heat it, then after heating, it will give the same temperature to babies, without need for any further electricity, for example. And then once it actually changes the material from solid, it becomes liquid. Until then, it continue giving the same heat. So this is extremely low cost product and yet technologically sophisticated. This is a clean slate out of the box product. You're not incrementally changing the existing product, but you're thinking about entirely new product. That's the idea. Let me give you one more example. And this is a company I and my co-author, Dr. Raj, who is going to join. We together studied. So this is a Bangalore-based company started by some people. One of the lady is ISC PhD in computer science. So we interviewed her, and now they came up with very interesting idea of breast cancer detection. So India breast cancer is a cancer with second highest mortality. In India, we usually have very late detection, and that late diagnosis actually is resulting in mortalities. Now, the traditional approach of cancer detection or diagnosis is mammography. Some of you may be knowing. Now, mammography is quite, pretty expensive diagnosis, especially for low income, lower middle income consumer, and it's also painful. Those who are aware of this process is quite customer unfriendly. So now this company developed a very new technology for breast cancer detection, and what they do is it's based on simple insight that tumor cells grow at a higher rate. They consume a lot more glucose or sugar, and therefore the temperature of tumor cell is usually 1.5 or 2 degree higher than the non-tumor cells, normal cells. So they use a, can you change that? So they use a thermal scanning based device. This is a lady behind this product development. So you take a thermal scan, and then you have AI based system. So they use several thousands of images and then trained AI to differentiate between thermal scan of a cancer cell and the non-cancer cell. Now, this is entirely new technology, and then it's a proven technology. It's a proven technology because FDA has given approval. C mark, European Regulatory Authority has given. Now, significantly lower cost and very comfortable or friendly experience for the user. So this is a out of box clean. You're not again changing mammography or a radiology based approach. It's a very different approach. So this is the example of clean slate based approach. So these are all examples. The two examples I have. I assume I have another 5 minutes. So let me very quickly give you some examples of reverse innovation. Means they were frugal innovation originally, but they were taken to the developed world. And we have all types of. So we know low tech initially. So if you see, for example, we all know originally that companies started offering low unit pack sachets to deal with the budgetary constraint of India's, but these sachets eventually are introduced in Eastern Europe or many other part of the world because they thought that maybe these sachets have utility like convenience, trial pack. When you are traveling, you can use it. So this is low tech reverse innovation. We looked at if you look at detergents, for example, company like Unilever developed these products in India, took it to Brazil and many other countries. So this is again a FMCG kind of product, reverse innovation example. Wheel was a product which they developed in India, and then Ala, for example, is a product eventually it's a very similar product they launched in Brazil. Now, Procter and Gamble developed small sachets for water purification, and eventually they took this product to the developed world. So this is a product-based innovation. Now, when you look at service innovation, so I talked about product, low-tech products usually, or consumer products in generally. Look at the service-based innovation by Indian companies, Indian organizations. So I have two examples, Arvind Eye Hospital and Narayana. So I'm assuming many of you may be knowing Arvind Eye Hospital offers extremely low-cost cataract surgeries. 2/3 of the patient they serve free of cost. And if you look at without compromising on quality, in fact, the data suggests that Arvind's clinical quality is superior to the hospitals operating in the UK. So if you look at infection rate of Arvind Hospital is half of the infection rate of NHS in the UK. So when you're doing low cost surgery, but better or superior than the Western hospitals. Look at Narayana Hospital, for example, and this is the data I have. So usually the cardiac surgery, cardiac or bypass surgeries in Narayana cost $2,000, whereas a similar surgery in the US you need to pay anywhere from 20,000 to 40,000. So 5% of the cost of the developed world. More importantly, look at the clinical quality. The published data UK that in the US that rate is 1.9%. So you're giving extremely low cost surgery and superior quality. That's the idea. And this is intuitive also. Think about our doctor in Arvind or Narayana. He's doing 1,000 surgeries each year, whereas a typical US doctor is doing 50 to 100 surgeries. Now remember that who will be more proficient in doing surgeries, isn't that? So this is a straightforward explanation. So this is one example of frugal innovation, service-based innovation. Now Narayana has set up a hospital in Cayman Island. You may be knowing very close to because in US they don't, we know that regulatory provisions basically are used as entry barrier. So they set up a new hospital in Cayman Island, and that's the idea that eventually this is serving the US customer. So without necessarily subjecting yourself to US regulation, you are still serving the US market. So that's a reverse innovation. That's the idea. So there are several other examples so this is, I would briefly talk about, and with this I will end. Now, what we are seeing, and this is the focus of our research of late, the breakthrough innovations, high-tech, technologically complex innovation from India, how they're gaining acceptance in the developed world. So we know Chandrayaan, that's a classic example of frugal innovation, 5% of the cost of a typical NASA's satellites, but it's ultra sophisticated. It's not a jugaad innovation. In fact, I strongly, advise or have very strong opinion against using this jugaad word, because jugaad is a hack, it's a fix, and we should not degrade Indian innovation by saying that they are jugaad innovation. It's a real ultra sophisticated innovation. You can't follow jugaad to land to South Pole of say moon, and you can't become the only country to do that in the world. Isn't that just a real sophisticated innovation? So frugal innovations are not jugaad innovation. Again, in one of my papers, I'm strongly arguing that don't use this word jugaad. So jugaad is a very, Hindi. So jugaad has a very different meaning. So that's the idea. So this is, I know many authors and scholars use this term, but at least I have very strong opinion. So this is one example. This is a real, I did this research on Jeep. It's a PET CT scanner, extremely sophisticated. Cost of this product is 20 crores. This is they reduced the price to 10 crores using frugal based innovation. Again, this is not a jugaad innovation. It's a discovery IQ. Can you just change that? All these are well-known innovation, Tata Nano or the Godrej Chotu Cool. Jaipur Foot, again, the organization we studied, ultra low-cost prosthetic lamp. So these are all examples. So with this, I will close my talk. What we are seeing, that increasing acceptance of frugal innovation. I am pretty confident that in next 10, 15 years, Indian companies or Indian organizations have built this reputation in the world that they can reduce the cost. At the same time, they can offer high-tech solutions. And if this continues, with all probability, what we are seeing is Narayana Hall, trying to disrupt the US market. You will see increasingly many other Indian companies disrupting the market in the Western world, Europe and North America particularly. That's it from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and for sharing your insights with us. We are We are honored to have with us Professor Dhruva Kumar Gautam, Vice Chancellor of Midwest University, Nepal, and a distinguished scholar in the field of strategic management and human resource development. He has held academic roles internationally, including serving as an adjunct professor at the Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand, and as a visiting professor at leading institutes in South Korea and Japan. Professor Gautam has also played a very significant role in public policy, contributing as an expert advisor to the government of Nepal and on human resource planning, economic policy, and national development strategies. May I now request Professor Gautam to kindly address us all. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Chair of this international conference, Professor Subendra Kumar Pratihari, Vice Chancellor of Birla Global University, Professor Kulbhushan Baloni, Professor and keynote speaker for today's session, Professor Ananda Kumar Jaiswal, a professor for IIM Ahmedabad, and CEO Rajat Pradhan. May I pronounce it right? Correct? Pradhan? Yeah. And dignitaries from the different universities, professors, participants, students, research scholars, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for inviting to me to collaborate in these international conference, and Midwest University is also one of the organizer or collaborating partners for these international conference. Therefore, I would like to welcome to all of you in this August gathering. As the theme that we designed for these international conference is really the much relevant and timely, and of course the specific need and demands to this region. So the higher education institutions in the world have basically the major tasks and major responsibilities for the knowledge creations and application of this knowledge to the real practices. And this university, along with the many other Indian universities and the university of these regions, are also engaging for the knowledge creation process. And this is also one of the debates, critiques, discussions, and sharing of the knowledge that produced from the long-standing research produced by the scholars to share their expertise so that we can build the knowledge, we can generate the knowledge, and that knowledge can be transformed into the real practices. So this is the process of the learning, process of the knowledge imparting, and process of transferring the knowledge from generation to generations, which the university, this Biala Global University, initiated and we joined. That's why, once again, I would like to thank to the Professor Baluni for these initiations. So the faculties and the research scholars or the students who has been here, we also have a more responsibilities to transform to the society. Transferring to the society is, of course, the main impact that we can lead by the higher education institutions is innovations that created and innovations that diffusions and the innovations that we really produce that become impact to our society for the transformations of our societies and the generations. So impact, if possible, from the university knowledge creations and the implementations of that knowledge, then only the meaning of the higher education universities or the higher education institution stands. In this sense, as I would like to share that I am from the Midwest University. The Midwest University is located in the Midwest part of the Nepal. Currently it is called the Karnali province, a beautiful city of the Karnali province, that is Surkhet. It's just the 1 hour's flight from the Kathmandu. And this valley, beautiful valley, also have in this province the only one university, that the Midwest University. It is the central university, government university, and this university have almost all of the programs like the engineering, so agriculture, law, management, education, teaching pedagogies, information technologies, and others at the different sectors or disciplines of the humanities and social sciences. So the Midwest University is also engaging for these, the knowledge productions, because the one thing that I would like to highlight and share here with the August gathering is that whatever the knowledge or theory we brought from the Western societies and delivered to the classroom may not be relevant, may not be always the appropriate, may not be the contextuals. Therefore, the knowledge should be generated from the Eastern societies or our universities. In the ancient times, we always learn the history, in the history that our ancestors have been developed or produced the knowledge that we call the Eastern philosophy or our knowledge. At that time, the knowledge we regularly call and use the word as Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Vadrani Pasyantu Makasya Dukha Bhagavad. But how we work on these, what the new things that we have been produced that obviously educated the philosophy that has been developed in these regions. We borrow the theories, we borrow the practices of the Western societies, but the contexts are the different, situations are the different, or the cultures are the different, and our thinking or our standard and our activities are the different. So that's why every theory may not be relevant to us. Realizing these recent days, we published one paper as embracing the multipolar world, and the theories of the single world may not be relevant to the multipolar situations. Now the world economy is going to be the multipolar. But again, the theories that has been invented, they claim that their theories, we are using the same theories, and we are talking that these theories are invented in Western or European societies, but that is math or not math, that is relevant or not relevant. Just we are testing the theories. So the theory generation is the responsibility of the university and the faculties, professors and the academia or researchers. They have to generate the new theories because the contexts are the different, situations are the different, as I talked, the embracing the multipolar situations in the world. Because of that paper published in the multipolar in the world in 2025, at the last in the December's, within the 2 weeks, again the three critics paper have been generated and published in the world on the basis of that paper, that whether that theory is really the relevant to Western or not, how fast they are for the copying and trying to invent the theories to relevant checking to their context. But we still are using the theories of 1970s and 80s sometime in some context. Therefore, changing to the context is also important to these regions, and obviously the Indian knowledge or the Indians mostly in Nepal, we prefer that the Bharat knowledge, knowledge of the Bharat, that Bharat have give the ownership to these regions. Therefore, the people normally have a lot of the issues. We have a commonalities, the cultures, the thinkings, the behavior and attitudes, the way of the pattern, way of the life, and all these are the similarities. Therefore, our potentialities between these two countries should be used together for the purpose of developing the new things and showing to the world as from the stone the new revive is going on. So the frugal innovations, that of course is also one of the pattern that might be used in the Western societies later when we build and make it mature, as making the sustainability and making the indigenous, and of course providing the values to the society and transferring to the society, then they copy and borrow to their context. These are the issues, as the common agendas of these can be solved by mutual partnership, collaborations. We, Nepal and India, of course, have in some sectors the more commonalities, some sectors the very uniqueness, very differences. The differences in the sense of that the geographical situations, the topological situations, weathers, the climates, and similarly the glaciers, mountains, Himalayas. Here in the summer situations of the hot here in these places, we also have to use the blanket even in the hot seasons in India. That means that the cold places are always the AC places. So natural AC places. So why not we have to make the collaborations on research, publications, transformations of the knowledge of joint efforts, and producing the such type of the innovations. Similarly, training and of course the dual degree, multi-degree programs in between these two universities and multiple universities. These are the current time situations to address to these regions. With these, once again, thanks to all of you for inviting these and the university, especially for the collaborations. As regularly, we also organize the international conference in Nepal at the Midwest University this April 2023-24. We are also organizing the international conference. Probably more than 25 countries have been already submitted the papers for this type of the international conference. I would like to welcome to all of you in Midwest University, Sukhet in the days to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring address and for sharing your valuable thoughts with us. We are privileged to have our Honorable Vice Chancellor of Birla Global University, who brings with him more than 25 years of academic leadership experience with the IIMs. He has served as a director of IIM Kashipur and a mentor director of IIM Amritsar, and was among the founding faculty members of IIM Kozhikode in his very first academic year. His research spans areas such as environment, development policy, sustainability, social entrepreneurship, with publications in several internationally reputed journals. May I now request Professor Kulbhushan Baluni to kindly address the audience. Sir, please.
Yeah, good morning to all. So, at the outset, my apologies that we started the session late, and it was because of the assembly session going on. So, my apologies to all. And now, I think it's time for me to welcome, in my own words, the dignitaries who are sitting here on the dais. But I must say that our seminar, the institutions, the universities are growing in size, but not our seminar halls. So what we do now, we have a small gathering here and then we relate in our classrooms also. And there are equally important academicians and practitioners who are sitting on that side actually. We can't bring all of you to the dais. So again, apologies for that also. But we'll have other sessions where we'll bring you on the dais. So let me just start welcoming my colleagues from Nepal. You know, say really, I think for all my journey for 27, 30 years in academic institutions, I think the collaboration with Midwest University in Nepal, I think is the hallmark of my career, which I always wanted. Now, let me give you the context. I'm from Uttarakhand and I spent all my life in Himachal Pradesh and then South India. But in our country, nobody can understand Nepal more than Garhwalis, Kumaonis, and Himachalis. There is a reason for that. Not many people. It's culturally, and you know, Prime Minister Modi, time and again, he talks about roti or beti ka hamare saath rishta hai. Roti means it's about livelihood, it's about business, and beti means rishta. हमारी रिश्तेदार भी होती है, and I can tell you that in my extended family, I have my aunts, I'll say that sister-in-law from Nepal, so that's the difference. And one thing which is very important, and some of my military colleagues are also sitting here, you know that three of these regions, Garhwal, Kumaon, and Himachal Pradesh, they were ruled by Nepalese, by the Gorkhas before the Britishers they came. Not many people would know. So whenever I meet sometimes my colleagues from Nepal, they always remind me that you were ruled by us. And I think it was the earlier 19th century, almost for 2 decades, we were ruled out. And moreover, the most important part is that Shimla, the so-called capital of Himachal Pradesh and the summer capital of the Britishers, it was also ruled by the Nepalese. So that's our relationship. I'm so happy that Professor Gautam, you have come here all the way from Nepal, and a lot of my colleagues from there, and really is one of the very, very, I think, momentous moment for Birla Global University. And I want to say just few words about Professor Gautam also. He is a very, very well-known academician in entire South and Southeast Asia. And let me tell you one thing, when I first interacted with him, and it was just maybe around 8 months ago, in the month of April, May, I got an email from Midwest University that let's strive for collaboration, and this is how it started. And now we are meeting together face to face, and that is called the collaboration actually. So I think he's a rare academician I have seen in entire my career, whether a vice chancellor or a director of a management institute, who has 2 publications in FT50 journals. I have not found anyone. So one is, I can say one is organizational science, and one is Journal of Management Studies. So I think you're a really role model for many of us, actually. We should be like us. Sometimes we keep on telling our colleagues that you should be publishing in FT50, ASA. We should also be publishing, you know, rather than just, okay, so that's there. And then let me just, Professor Anand Kumar Jaiswal, and I think this is my second long interaction with him. And I know him as a faculty member at Ahmedabad. But, you know, when he was giving his address, something which I always enjoy listening to professors from IIM Ahmedabad particularly. You know, they have a very, very rare, I think, the passion in their subject for their subject, and they're very, very infectious actually. I think I have not seen they produce the best teachers. Each and every faculty member at Ahmedabad is very good teacher. Whether he is younger, I've seen those colleagues who have worked with me in my previous three IIMs actually, or PG in the newly come actually. I think there is something there in that institution. उसके institute में कुछ पानी है कि I think, and it has to do with the values of the founders. Now we hear a lot of story when I joined IIM actually, and my director was from Ahmedabad, and we used to talk a lot of stories about Vikram Sarabhai and Ravi J. Mehtai. And I think those values we try to imbibe in our culture. You know, something called institution building is ingrained in the minds of the faculty member and the students of IIMs actually. And I think that is the phrase I have learned from IIM Ahmedabad. So each and every one is an institutional builder, be it an innovator or be an entrepreneur. You have to be an institutional builder at some point in your life. So all of us actually, in my institute also, BGU also, we are all institutional builders. We are going to leave some legacy for the future. So, and now coming to, so welcome to our campus for the first time. And previously we have Professor Tirupati here, and then Nikhila Bora, she was here, Niharika Bora, she was here previously. And then let me just now say a few words about our guest of honor. And again, Rajat Varjan is very, very special. He didn't mention, but I want to mention something actually. He forgot to mention something. You know, first of all, I'm so proud of him. I have seen him starting from 2020 onwards, actually. The way he's grown, his kind of business he has taken all the way, his innovation to 7 countries, and then he's been talked about. He gives talks in different parts of the world now. And I wish one day you will be called MS Swaminathan of India. You know, reason being, when you look at actually, MS Swaminathan is associated with Green Revolution, but then Green Revolution brought a lot of ills also. And the biggest ill was that excessive use of the fertilizer, and I think which led to the poor health of the soil. And now we are trying to revive it actually. So I think you are playing a very, very important role. And what I understand about your technology is that just with a smartphone, using the SaaS technology, with a pinch of soil, actually, you can test the health of the soil. But another aspect I want to tell you, I was associated with IIM Kashipur from 2019 to 24 as a director there, and I was very much, I was a part of the incubation team, and that I was also in a way incubated as a chairperson, first chairperson of that incubation center. And Rajat is from the first, from cohort 1 of Rabi program sponsored by Ministry of Farmers Welfare. And he's an incubatee from the first cohort, and he just got 25 lakh rupees from us. But then he has moved on his life. I'm so happy. Now he's partnering with IIT Kanpur. And yesterday, before he came, yesterday I checked with some of my colleagues in IIM Kashipur. Well, what is happening? I didn't call him. And I was told that he's in, Nikhil Kamath is from Zerodha is in touch with him for the next round of funding. Is right? So thank you. I think you have done a wonderful job. So, and I must say, this is a rare conference also. For the first conference, we are 3 partners are there. I think there are more than 3 partners. When you look at the program schedule very carefully, we have my colleagues from Vadwani Foundation, from Vivekanand, from, I can see my colleagues from Army, and different organizations who are there actually, and CYSD, which is a very, very important NGO from a very, very effective NGO from Odisha. So it's a very, very good collaboration. It's just not about BGU actually. It is beyond that actually, and it's just a beginning. And I am sure this kind of a collaboration is going to help BGU also, and my students also. It's give a chance them to get a glimpse of other part of the world side. In the case of Nepal here. And we missed out today, Professor S.P. Raj. Actually, he was a person. And let me tell you, given his age, he's not present here because of the time reference, and because we delayed the program by half an hour, by 45 minutes. That's the reason he couldn't join us. And I think for me, my first interaction with him some 2-3 years ago, and I started interacting with him, and he has made 2 quick visits, especially to Birla Global University in the last 1.5 years. And it was supposed to be his 3rd visit. But we wish that we'll see him in the Nepal in the month of April when we are having another joint conference. So I think I'm sure we are going to invite SP Raj there. So thank you. So this was all about conference, and I'm sure. And today also we were supposed to inaugurate our incubation center. We are calling it Birla Hub for Innovation, Venturing and Entrepreneurship, and we have invited our government dignitaries. But because of the assembly election, ongoing assembly sessions, they couldn't come. So we'll postpone it actually for some time. It is very important for us to work with the government of Odisha, and we want them here in the campus to inaugurate our Beehive, our incubation center. See, I'm not a person into grassroots innovation, but I'm very much part of the society, Indian society, which is all about grassroots innovation, as Professor has mentioned very nicely in his lecture. Though with the use of technology, we are at a different level, as the case of Vardhan's innovation. Just want to say that when you start from Indus civilization onwards, actually, the Indian society and the rest of the world, it has evolved because of continuous innovation. And how come whatever we are, actually, it is because of our past, actually, and our forefathers have brought us to this level, actually, and it has happened because of continuous innovation. But the difference is only one thing. That is what I want to emphasize. The approach to innovation. Earlier, it was a collective approach of the society for years and years together, for centuries. They used to innovate collectively for the benefit of all, actually. But unfortunately, it changed the Indian society, particularly with the invasions and particularly with the British Empire, who has ruled us for a long time, and somehow with the new technologies disrupting our society in the 20th century. And it is becoming more of atomistic, actually. We have from collectivism we have come to individualism. As you know that the only lady Nobel laureate in economics, Elinor Ostrom, she got a Nobel Prize for a small thing, actually. The individuals, they are not all rationals, actually. They think of the society also. So one part of our mind think of individuals, our rationality, we have to maximize our profit, but we think of the society also. And she has most that there's a continuous innovation, actually, even at the institutional level. So innovation doesn't just happen in the case of products also, but innovation takes place at the institutional level also, because they have to keep on evolving. We keep on changing our norms. But I just want to give a quickly short example. I have lived in South India for 27 years, and I was very, very much fascinated by the water tanks which are there in South India, and think maybe there was a time where 80 to 90% of the land in South India was irrigated by water tanks. There was every year, actually. But now they're all depleted, actually. 70% of the irrigation is taking through groundwater exploitation, because it's very easy. You put a pump on your backyard and you pump water. So it is becoming, so it is again now what is happening now. A good thing is that with this all, we are talking a lot about innovation. But let me tell you one thing, my experience with the 2 incubation centers at IIM Kashipur and IIM Kozhikode, I find that most of the applicants, when they come to, they apply for the funds, actually, 90% of them, actually, they apply not for an innovation or a product, actually. They all focus on value addition of the product, actually. What I'm trying to say is that, so the application is that all about marketing their products, actually. And perhaps they expected more from the IIMs, but they are not focusing on the product part, actually. But in a way, I think it's nothing wrong in that, actually. If you're trying to add value addition to your products, which has earlier, I think, no good market, I'll say. It can be called as a market failure also, because, for example, for millets were sold for 50 rupees kg at the same price as the wheat, actually. Now, the millets are sold for 400 rupees. Some of the millets are not available. When you buy some of the millets on your Amazon, actually, they say only we'll give you 2 packets, not more than that, actually. Because we have realized the value. And I just want to give an example to you, and that is very much correlated from Nepal as well as Himalayas. We have a system called Kuhul system. Kuhul system is a system which was built by our ancestors, actually, and promoted by the kings also. So all the flowing rivers which we have, actually, will take the diversion of water Okay, and we'll take the diversion of water along the, suppose the river is flowing like this, and on this side actually there's a diversion of water, and it will flow for almost for 2-3 kilometers actually from one point to another point. And there we had ghats, we call them ghats, the water mills actually. They used to grind our food products actually. So in the grinds we have at the village level, a household level, but that is meant for a small family, a joint family. But when you have a festival there, then what you go to this water mills actually. And now the only thing is that I'm so happy that we have lost in this water mills actually. And they were used to be around 15,000 cool system in our, I think in more than 15,000, sorry, the water mills actually. Now they are getting revived actually. And that also I see whether it's IITs or NITs or University Incubation Center, they are trying to help actually revive them. The only difference is that now they're merging the traditional technology with the modern technology, and they are trying to revive, and that's a good thing actually. So I'll just say a few things to change. And I was just looking at some of the examples from Nepal. What could be a very different example from Nepal when it comes to incubation? Then I found something at a different level actually. And why I'm saying, because we have a school of communication here. In Nepal, actually, there's a very popular journalism called digital citizen journalism, Khoj Samachar. That's also a kind of innovation. And what is happening actually, this is an independent local reporting to increase the civil accountability. I think so. You can't say the innovation will take place only in case of products only. Innovation can take place at other levels also, digital level also. And I am sure, I think I spend more time here. I was not supposed to spend more time here, but thanks to all the delegates and my colleagues on the dais and off the dais for coming to this place. And I'm sure we will always, these 2-3 days, this will always remember that we did something with our police, and what I'll say that is a very good jumping ground for us actually, that we have to move on from this point. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and sharing your insights with us. We will now move forward for the most significant moment of the day, the MOU exchange ceremony. For this significant moment, I would like to request our Honorable Vice Chancellor and the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Midwest University to kindly proceed with the exchange of Memorandum of Understanding. May I request our Registrar, Dr. B.K. Das, Dr. Piyush Gupta, Chairperson of International Relations, to kindly join the ceremony. Now I request to all the dignitary on the dais to kindly unveil the conference proceedings. Okay. Now I request all the dignitaries to kindly unveil the conference proceedings. We now proceed with the felicitation of our esteemed dignitaries. May I kindly request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to felicitate our distinguished guest as a token of appreciation and gratitude. I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to kindly felicitate our chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Midwest University, Nepal. May I again request Sir to kindly honor Shri Rajat Vardhan. Next, I request our Sir to kindly felicitate our keynote speaker, Professor Anand Kumar Jaiswal. Thank you, sir. As we have come to the end of this insightful inaugural session, it is time to extend our heartfelt gratitude. Now, I'd request Dr. Parimal Kumar, conference convener, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Shamanshu. Respected dignitaries on the dais, distinguished speakers, honored guests, faculty members, researchers, innovators, participants, and my dear fellow students. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks at the conclusion of this inspiring, meaningful session of the International Conference on Grassroots and Frugal Innovation in Emerging Economies, jointly organized by Birla Global University, Whitman School of Management, Syracuse University, USA, and Midwest University, Nepal. At the outset, I extend my gratitude to Dr. Suvendu Kumar Pratihari, Conference Chair, for the warm welcome and beautifully setting the context of this conference. He emphasized the development of innovation which can contribute to the society. Also, next is my heartfelt thanks in absentia to Professor S.P. Raj. He has been also always inspiring us for meaningful academic collaboration and innovation. I would also like to express my appreciation to guest of honor, Mr. Rajat Vardhan, for sharing valuable insights from the world of innovation and entrepreneurship. In his speech, he emphasized a story on how he can contribute and transform the life of the Indian farmers. How through the grassroots innovations, he increased the livelihood farmers from a meaningful small acres to a meaningful great numbers. I would also like to express my thanks to Professor Anand Kumar Jaiswal from IIN Ahmedabad for his thoughtful, provoking keynote address. In his speech, he emphasized, he gave various examples of GE hospitals, how they have used reverse innovation and zero-based innovation, and how frugal innovation, which are meant for emerging economies, and how it is going to transform, how it is getting adapted by the Western world. I would also like to presence of Chief Guest Dhruv Kumar Gautam, Vice Chancellor of Midwest University, Nepal, whose word emphasized the importance of international collaboration. He emphasized that the theories which we are adapting from the Western world are no more working in this Indian subcontinent. Now there is time that universities in subcontinent should contribute and they should come out with own research and development rather than depending on the theories of the Western world and adapting it. There is a because these theories may not be applicable in Indian or Nepalese context. I would also like to thank Professor Baluni, Vice Chancellor of Birla Global University. He has been always inspiring us for research, collaboration, and leadership. He also emphasized how academic collaboration between Midwest and BGU is going to change and transform the near world. Lastly, I would like to express my thanks to a committee, faculty colleagues, IT, admin, and the organizing committee and the volunteers, student volunteers, who have tirelessly worked day and night to make this a huge success. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. With that, we conclude the inaugural session. We extend our heartfelt thanks to all our esteemed speakers, faculty members, scholars, and participants for making this session a grand success. With this, we request all the dignitaries, faculties, and participants to kindly move towards the activity plaza for a group photograph. This will be followed by a tea break. After the break, we will reassemble in the seminar hall to continue with the panel discussion at 12:35. Thank you.